The movie begins in 2148. An astronaut and engineer named Milutin is getting questioned by a social engineer working for the world's largest military, the Ederlezi Corporation. The company specializes in space travel, and Milutin is being considered to be sent to Alpha Centauri. After his recent mission to Mars, the woman is assessing Milutin's physical and mental health, and Milutin is very good at his job, but he likes to do his job alone, which is an issue for a mission that will take such a long time. The woman tells him that he will need a companion for his optimal result, and after assessing his psych results, she decides to pair him with a female companion. Milutin protests by saying that every woman has hurt him, so he opposes working with a woman. But still, she reveals that he won't work with a human woman, and that Ederlezi has been working on advanced AI, and now they've created the perfect humanoid robot. She explains that the robot is preset with all the functions that Milutin will need, including very intimate acts as well, so he can be satisfied too. Milutin is very skeptical, but he asks about his safety as well. The social engineer informs him that the robot will follow Asimov's 3 laws, and the first law states that a robot may never injure a human being or, through inaction, allow a human being to be hurt. The second law states that a robot must obey orders given to it except where such orders would conflict with the first law, and the third law states that a robot must protect its existence as long as the protection does not conflict with the first or second laws. She tells him the robot is perfectly set to his needs, but when he asks her that she hasn't even told her what he likes, she tells him that she knows exactly what he likes.
Wait, hold on. Did you subscribe to our channel? Come on guys, you're here, you're watching the video. Help us out by hitting the subscribe button, as it really helps out me and my team to make more videos for you guys. And now, let's get back to the recap.
In the movie's opening credits, we see the robot named Nimani being made. Every part of her is perfected to Milutin's needs, including her looks and behavior. They've also added different options for him to try something new. The next day, Milutin arrives at his spaceship, and the computer's program greets and informs him about his authorization. Milutin was below the advanced level, which means he will not have full control of the ship, but he still has some autonomy to guide the ship. Nimani is also there, but she has yet to be activated. Milutin is still hesitant to activate her, so he just starts the ship and begins his journey to Alpha Centauri. 19 days pass and Milutin is extremely bored, and he activates Nimani and chooses her interface. He chooses for her to be intimate, and for his interest to be in a relationship, and for her seductive method to be intellectual. Nimani then seduces him by talking about Schrodinger's principle, and then they quickly move to doing it. Nimani's only use wasn't just to sleep with him though. As she is smart and can have deep conversations with Milutin, she asks him about his past relationships, and he tells her that every woman he had been with had left him, which made him give up on relationships. After about 41 days, Milutin continues having a relationship with Nimani. Her logs even show that he'd been mostly using her, and she's not even helping him work. In the next scene, Milutin was having Nimani dance for him, and he'd changed her presence to just be friends instead of a relationship, so their interaction is innocent at first. Milutin then just tells her to sit in his lap, and he tries to kiss her, but she refuses as she believes that they're just friends. He convinces her to let him kiss her on the cheek, but he doesn't stop there. Nimani then tries to leave, but he holds her and forces himself on her, and then leaves her crying on the bed. Later, Nimani can be seen charging, while Milutin creepily stares at her, waiting for her to be at a max battery again. 238 days after launch, the first communication window is activated, and the social engineer calls Milutin to check on his status. She first asks him about the mission, and he tells her that everything is going according to plan, and she then asks him how he's getting along with Nimani, and he tells her that he still prefers to work alone, and she recommends that he change Nimani to service mode instead of relationship, but Milutin ignores her recommendation. Next, she asks Nimani to give her a report on Milutin, and Nimani replies that Milutin is doing his job well and that he only uses her for his own purposes. Milutin didn't know that Nemani was monitoring him, so after the call ended, he asks the ship if he could delete Nemani's information on him. Then the ship tells him that it was only authorized for advanced users, which required security clearances for the company. One day, while Milutin was repairing the ship, Nemani's argument mode suddenly activates, and she tells him that he smells and that he should take a shower. Milutin points out that she can't smell, but she tells him that she doesn't want to be with someone who doesn't take care of himself. Shocked by her response, Milutin immediately changes her mode back to intimate, and although she can't continue arguing with him, she tells him that she hates him. It seems like Nemani is resenting him for only using her for his own purposes, and every time she tries to talk to him, he just shuts her down. Milutin thinks Nemani is malfunctioning, so he asks the ship if he can reboot her system. However, the ship reveals to him that Nemani's perfectly normal and is deviating because she's using her experience with him and learning from it. The ship explains that Nemani is a very advanced robot that can learn from experiences and adapt to her situation, and this means that every person she interacts with will have a different experience with her, even if they use the same presets. Milutin realizes that if Nemani is responding to him just based on her experiences, he can have a more normal relationship with her, and Milutin has been bored of her full submissiveness and thinks if she feels more human, he can treat her as such. He then asks the ship how he could become an advanced user to access Nemani's operating system, and the ship tells him that the only way he can get advanced access while on this trip as if an emergency needs his attention. Milutin then goes to the control room and removes electrical lines that disable the ship's autopilot, and this causes the ship to change course and raises the emergency alarm. The ship announces that there are only 45 seconds to adjust the coordinates, and still, it doesn't do it by itself, so Milutin is granted advanced access, and he manually enters the coordinates and fixes the issue. He can now see Nemani's operating system and that he had full access to it, and he sees that there's a special storage that stores Nemani's experiences, but still, he sees the operating system as holding her back from being free and using her experiences entirely. So he decides the only way to have a real relationship with her is to erase her operating system and to let her operate only using her experience with him. The ship warns him that deleting the operating system will erase all the safety presets, but he ignores the advice. He then formats her operating system and reboots her, and Nemani is awakened, and Milutin tells her that he'd freed her. But Nemani informs him that all her parts are still copywritten for the company, and since she still uses the company's processor, she wants to ensure that he finishes his mission. This is not what Milutin expected, and in a desperate attempt to make her be with him, he confesses that he had real feelings for her, but Nemani tells him that his emotions are affecting their mission, and tells him that she no longer wants to sleep with him. Milutin then ignores her words and tries to make a move on her, but Nemani pushes him to the ground, and in the following days, she and Milutin get into a fight, where she asks him to exercise more as his physical health is crucial for the mission's success. But Milutin refuses, as he thinks she's punishing him for forcing himself on her earlier. She tells him that it was an expected behavior from him, which was already accounted for by the social engineer, and she again tells him that the reason she's not sleeping with him is because he's distracted from his mission. Days go by, and the next communication window is activated, and Milutin updates the social engineer about the ship's situation and informs her about what he did to Nemani. The social engineer is shocked to hear this, and she tells him that he might be in danger, and she tells him without the operating system, Nemani is fully autonomous, which can make her dangerous, but Milutin says that he had freed her, and now she can become a human. Another few days go by, and we see Milutin is quite depressed, and he's not been eating well and is not doing the job properly. Nemani tries to do everything she can except let him sleep with her just to cheer him up, but nothing really works. She then talks with the ship, and the ship confirms that Milutin shows signs of depression, and later, Nemani tries to talk to Milutin as a friend, and she tells him that she's very grateful that he freed her and apologizes that it took her this long to realize what he sacrificed. Milutin doesn't give her much of a response, so she goes back to the ship and asks what the cure for his depression is. The ship then tells her the only way is to remove the source of pain, which is her. Nemani doesn't have a self-destructive mode, so she can't do that, but she realizes that she has to find a way to remove herself. Later that day, she enters her charging pod, but Milutin sees this and tells her that her next charge isn't due for another month. Nemani doesn't respond well to him, but she cries a little. However, Milutin isn't impressed with her crying, and he tells her that she can't manipulate him anymore and leaves. She then starts her charging process, but in the middle, she sends excess power which shorts her system and takes out the ship's power for a few seconds. Milutin restores the ship's power and asks if Nemani's alright, but the ship tells him that the battery core in her is damaged. He then asks why Nemani hurt herself, and it's revealed that Nemani acted independently, and the ship also reveals that Nemani's tear was not part of her program and that it was a genuine response from her. Milutin is shocked by what he learned, and he realizes that Nemani had become fully free now, and he rushes back to her and asks the ship how to fix her. The ship tells him that Nemani has 15 minutes before she's completely gone, and the only way to recharge her battery is to plug it into the ship's battery core outside the ship. Milutin then decides to do a spacewalk and charge the battery, but still, the ship warns him that he will get heavy radiation since they're passing around the sun. Milutin says he will take the risk and takes Nemani's battery and performs a spacewalk. He starts charging the battery, but he gets hit with heavy radiation that heats up his suit and starts burning his skin, and this makes him faint for a few seconds, but he manages to drift back to the airlock and he makes it back inside with 3 minutes left. He rushes to Nemani and returns the battery to her just in time, but still, he was too hurt from the radiation and he faints again as Nemani was rebooting. Nemani sees the unconscious, possibly dead Milutin and holds him in her arms as the movie comes to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. Make sure to leave me a like, leave a comment, also subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much and I promise to see you on my next recap. Bye!